Hey, it's Vaughan at westcoastbellpottery.ca. I am back in the studio firing my electric kilns now. So I thought the first thing I would do is a test on a bunch of glazes that I've got 3 different clay bodies, a white body, a stoneware grogged, kind of slightly grogged kind of speckled clay body, and then a red stoneware that I made my baking dish pieces out of. And I'll try like 8 different glazes. So the mugs on each shelf will be glazed all the same in those 8 glazes. So one on my left up on the top there, say blue, and on what shelf underneath will be green, and one underneath will be matte green, and so on. So I'll be able to see what the glazes look like on the different clay bodies, glazing them identically, because I'll just dip them, hold them for say 4 or 5 seconds at a time. Just to make sure. Some glazes like apple green don't like to be held in a long time, so that one I would just dip it in and out because it actually runs a lot, and so does mouse grey. But anyway, it'll be a nice test to just see, you know, how do I proceed this whole winter. Oh, and all the glazes are out of Mastering Cone 6 Glazes, just about. Although Amazing Glaze is a terrific book too, and I just did the Raku video with the glazes out of that book, and they all worked really good. I'm going to start with the blue because that's the most common glaze that I use, and it needs mixing up, which I use a drill. Okay, so the idea is to be the same for each piece so that different clay bodies are treated the same, and we'll see what the glazes look. So all I do is I've already glazed the inside of these with my liner glaze. It's just my oatmeal basically because there's nothing toxic in that. And then I'm just going to dip them and hold this blue I can put in for 5 seconds. It doesn't seem to bother it. It doesn't run at all. So I'm just dipping it down to my fingertips, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, and lift it out. So it's not going to be a video where I show you every piece being glazed, but I'm going to do that to every piece on these shelves here with different color glazes. So this whole shelf down here is now got a stoneware speckle clay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lift it out. Now, my suspicion is that the glazes that have a little bit of opacifiers in them will tend to look the same on no matter what clay body, and especially if you use tin in any of the glazes, because that actually is the best type of opacifier you can get, but it's expensive. The only other thing I have to do besides in this video for this glazing kiln firing is I got a bunch of these chicken roaster dishes, which I just did a video on, so I made a bunch of them. And what I do with those, because they have a large flat base, is I take a wet sponge and I completely wet the bottom quite a bit, so it makes it easier to wipe the glaze off. You can use wax to wax the bottoms of your pieces, but that adds a lot of time. It's really wet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lift it out, and then just using the same wet sponge, and that was very easy. You know how hard glaze is to wipe off pieces once it's gone dry? So there's a tip. And I've got to rinse my sponge and get a bit cleaner, but you got it pretty easy wiped. I fire the stoppers on little stilts, so I just dip them down so that only the top part is glazed. And then I have a variety of kiln props that have holes in them, where I can sit the stopper and fire it actually on that prop. I have a terrible yellow that is a really nice color, but when you glaze with it, the glaze just flakes right off. And I'm going to show you one. I'll sacrifice a piece to show you. I just mixed it up. You glaze it by dipping it as normal. You don't even leave it in very long because this glaze flakes off thin or thick. Put my fingertips there. There's the cracks starting to appear. Still, can you see all those cracks slightly appearing now on the piece? Oh, they're coming much faster now. So that's only been a minute or so it's taken to do this. So I'm going to mix this with my other yellow, which is a lemon yellow, and I'll show you that one now. This one, see all the little cracks? All the little cracks. And that was a fairly quick in and out glaze thing. If it was thicker, it would be really cracked. So this is my lemon yellow. And if you can't remember what the other one looked like, I guess they don't look that much different on here. But this one fires really lemon, and this one fires really dark butter kind of color. You really can't see much difference on the picture there. But this glaze doesn't crack, and you can overglaze it with other glazes and it's fine, especially the apple green, it really likes that. But basically I'm going to mix these two glazes. You can see a bit more difference now, it's drying. 50-50, which I just did, and we have another one, I'll show you that, and I'm going to do a test like that and give it a good 3 seconds there, because that way if there's any tendency for cracking, we will know. So the purpose of this little brief snippet of a video, you can mix them together and maybe you'll end up with a really beautiful glaze. It might be hard to reproduce it because you don't know the ratios of the two glazes maybe, but at least you can save, wasting a glaze that's totally horrible. And do it in like small quantities at first, maybe mix up half a yogurt carton of each glaze so that you can just dip a small piece in it and see whether it works and all that. Because I just poured in like a gallon of each glaze into this bucket, so I've got a decent amount to dip with. Because I felt like, the one glaze is horrible anyway. Anyway, it's drying perfect, no cracks. So I think we've solved the cracking problem. And now we just need to see what color it is. So I'll label them and then we can actually, maybe we'll have a beautiful yellow. Okay, here's the one that was cracking. Can you see all those cracks? Now I'll fire this because I think it will hold up, but we'll see. And I think it might even smooth over. But the big problem is it actually does not hold another glaze dipping over the top of it. And that's why I don't like it, because I like to do 2 and 3 glazes on pieces. But look at the handle, cracks all up and down the handle. So if I touch that handle, those pieces will just drop right off. It doesn't bond with the bisqueware underneath. Okay, it's about an hour since this piece was glazed, and look at all that flaking. So that's why this glaze is pretty much useless to me. And I'll show you the one now that we just have the mix. This is the mix, same age, glaze-wise, within a couple of minutes, no flaking at all. So we have a glaze now that will fit and hold on to a body by mixing my lemon yellow and my deep butter yellow, which was useless. Lemon yellow was good. Now we have a good mixed glaze. In our little experiments here, I'm going to use my strontium crystal magic, which I haven't used in a long time, and I have a whole bucket of that too. So I'm going to just play around with that a little bit in the video. So I'm going to put it on the piece over the top of the glaze, but I'm also going to put it on first and see which way it's the best. I have a white piece and a dark red piece, and I'm going to put it on first on these two, and then on another two I'll put it on afterwards. I seem to remember that this glaze runs a lot, and that's what it's supposed to do, to help promote crystals. And I'm going to put it in some blue after that. So strontium crystal magic first, and now I'm going to do blue. So I dip the blue all the way down, except for where my fingers are, and then you've got about 1.5 inches of strontium crystal magic dip at the rim. See where that stays. Yep, that's good. Not sure if we can see this or not. Can you see the line? Oh yeah, you can see the line. Okay, there's a slightly darker area on the top. So we'll see whether that works to make some runs. But I'm also going to do it over the top of the blue as well to see which is better. I'll just need to do one of these, I think, as a test. So this is bright blue with strontium crystal magic over the top. I'm also going to try the strontium crystal magic with the matte turquoise. I'm going to let it lose its shine and then dip it in the strontium crystal magic. Usually I wait till the next day, but I know because this glaze is quite, it makes things run, I don't want it to get too thick. So this is very wet at the moment, so damp. There you go, so that will run, but will it run 3 or 4 inches? Because that's about a 4.5, 5-inch mug. So we'll see whether it will run the 3 inches. Oh, it's already starting to dribble down because it's very wet. Hopefully it won't start flaking, because when glazes get really thick they can sometimes flake as they dry. That's my oatmeal that I just dipped on the bottom. I'm going to try my chun green with the strontium crystal magic as well. And this serves as a double experiment because it's actually red clay with a clear glaze pretty much over the top. And of course I've got a white one too. So this white one should show the green up nicely, and this one would I bet it'll look very dark olive green. It's a strontium crystal magic. Same deal here. Once they start dripping, I'm going to put the oatmeal on as well. The chun green should be dry enough to touch the handle now, so I can just put the oatmeal on the bottom. There you go. I just swish it around in a circle so it actually gets into the bottom of the piece. Sometimes there's a little air pot in the middle there that you trap some air in, the glaze doesn't go on. But there we go, we got many experiments in this kiln. Okay, all the pieces are glazed, and I've got them all in solid colors, but what I always do with most of my pieces is I actually double dip the rims, the upper third, with variegated blue and oatmeal, or sometimes I use apple green and oatmeal, to give a kind of crystal-y effect coming down from the top edge of the piece to the bottom. But I don't do it on the bottoms because 3 glazes on top of each other can run. And I also try to avoid the handle a little bit by dipping at a slight angle. So this one is purple, so I dip it in the variegated blue. See, I've only got a tiny bit on the handle. Wait till it goes matte. This is the day after I did the first glaze. And then do the oatmeal. And I always try and wait till it goes matte so the first glaze doesn't get into the oatmeal, because the oatmeal's sort of an off-white. I'd hate to sort of think it's going to be an off-brown. But anyway, so you've got a bit of oatmeal over variegated blue over purple there. And I already glazed the bottoms of the pieces and put my signature on the bottom. So I'll do that to all these pieces. I've almost done all of them actually. I did, the yellow ones all have green and oatmeal on, and the red ones, the cranberry glaze, raspberry, also has green and oatmeal over the top. I got really technical in this video, and I'm recording this at the end of the video, whereas I thought I'd finished the video, and then I realized, boy, this has got a lot of information in this video. So it's going to help a lot of people save some time and some expense in figuring out some of these glazes. So it's well worth it, but you'll probably see a lot of stuff jump around a little bit in this video because I was testing many different glazes on 3 different clay bodies, and it definitely seemed to me, when I looked at it before I published it, it was getting a little kind of confusing. But yeah, you've got a lot of information and some really nice pieces in this video, but it'll take some 2 cups of coffee. Anyway, I have the last kiln I was going to put in this video here with some little tests as well, so I may as well show you these right now. I've got some nice pictures at the end of the video of the different clay bodies put together with the same glaze on them. So that's where you're probably going to see most of the information that will answer your questions. But here's the turquoise, blue, green, copper, red over speckled clay. This is that new yellow, which I love this combination. It's my new yellow, which I showed you in this video. It's using a mason stain, but sunshine yellow with this piece is actually chun green over the top of the yellow. Here is, and I'll show you the pictures at the end of the video, same glazes applied. It's blue, green, copper, red here with matte turquoise on the bottom. Here I actually used strontium crystal magic on the top, and here I just used my new yellow over the top. But you can see how beautiful over the white clay the blue, green, copper, red is, and if you like speckles, you're going to like it better on that one. This is licorice, and later in the video I confuse it with my new dark blue, but we're hoping we get that sorted out. I'm pretty sure this is licorice, but you see it has some blue down there, so that's why I'm still confused. If it's my new dark blue, it's looking pretty good. I want to test it over some white clay though, and there it is again. It could be the blue. See, but it looks just like the licorice behaves on the top there. Here is my bright blue, but I'm now pondering, is this my new dark blue? Which is not dark enough if that's the case, but it's over speckled clay. Here's another one. I'm pretty sure this is the licorice. My new dark blue may just look like my bright blue by the look of the evidence in this kiln. That's what happened in the middle of the video. I started thinking, oh, I can mix these 2 glazes together and see what happens. That's the blue, green, copper, red again. Because you get excited when you're testing and you feel like, oh, there's so many I can do. I love this little yellow line that goes through the apple green when it hits the yellow. It's really pretty. And it's probably rutile. Same again on that one. The yellow, apple green, and strontium crystal magic on the top, which gives you all a lot of crystals in there. Blue, green, copper, red over the speckled clay. You'll see the pictures at the end where they're next to each other. Same again, yellow, apple green, strontium crystal magic on the top. And one more of these. I took some of these out earlier on. That's the matte black with the variegated blue and oatmeal just over the rim area there. Here's a shocker. The chrome tin pink. Isn't that weird? This is my oatmeal, which has tin in it, and somewhere in this kiln we had, well, we just took them out. The chrome was in some of the glazes, and it really affected the oatmeal big time there. And I have people who order this and say they want to make sure this is white, not pink. So that's an issue. But certainly doesn't look like the snow anymore, does it? The outside looks great. Well, and some people like that pink and they ask me if I can get it deliberately. I just say if I'm lucky. Or unlucky, I guess. This is the licorice again. I think it's confusing me because where it hits the matte turquoise, there's a little hint of blue down there. But I'm pretty sure that is the licorice over, and that's over the red clay because that's why it looks so dark. And the yellow over the top of the turquoise, the blue-green copper red, looks really nice there. And it's actually got strontium crystal magic on the top, if you can just see there. Yep. And the Tenmiku Gold, which color clay is this? Oh, I can't tell. I'm pretty sure this is the speckle clay, because this is so dark. But that's where I was doing the dots and the dashes. I've done that before in other videos. It didn't run as much in this one. The cooling was, there's no soak, so it really didn't run either, but we got lots of the Tenmiku Gold. Here's licorice. My stilts that I made earlier in this video are doing great. You can hold a big piece up like this with a little stilt. And there's the speckle clay, so we know it's speckle clay. And that's on all these balls were thrown out of speckle clay. So, but what I call lizard scales in my oatmeal over licorice worked perfect in that one. And the outside is very pretty. And that's another one of the same. Even though I wiped the foot, I fired it on stilts. And there's the oatmeal lizard scales. And then I have two with speckle clay of my yellow with the apple green. You can see the speckles in both of them. The following photographs after this firing is packed are showing the speckle clay and the white clay with the same glazes on each piece. Just to give you an idea of how much brighter over the white clay the glazes will look, although they look good on both. They've got just different effects really. So enjoy looking at the last photographs. This is my bright blue with strontium crystal magic underneath in the upper third, over the red clay on the left and speckle clay over the right, and it just shows the difference, how the dark clay darkens that bright blue. This piece is the bright blue with strontium crystal magic over the top of the bright blue, and it came out much shinier. These two pieces both have bright blue with variegated blue and oatmeal over the upper third, and the difference is that it's on the left it's white clay and on the right it's the speckle clay. These two are the actual my new blue, new speckled blue. I've been trying to ponder, you know, which color this was, but it's the only other ones that it could be, since I mixed all those blues together, dark blue and my speckled blue. And that was because, like the yellow and the fake ash, the glaze crumbled. This speckled blue would crumble on the surface of the pot, so it was hard to do any double dipping on it. Mixing the dark blue and that speckled blue together, I've ended up with a speckled blue that's a little shinier, and it looks really good. So I've got about 8 gallons of this speckled blue that I can now mix with my dark blue and end up with a decent glaze. So that saves throwing it away. And I think over the left-hand side, it was over the speckled clay, and on the right-hand side, I think it's hard to see, but I think there's a touch below the speckles there too. It's hard to tell whether that's white clay or not, but I think it's basically the speckled clay. The one on the right had strontium crystal magic added onto the rim as well. I'll throw these two in here because they look so pretty, and it's basically both over speckled clay with my new yellow, apple green, and then matte turquoise and oatmeal over the top.
This piece is the dark blue with variegated blue and oatmeal over the upper third, over the white clay. This is the red clay with the chunglean over it, and then it's got variegated blue and oatmeal over the upper half, so it really doesn't show up the colours very well. These are dark blue with variegated blue and oatmeal over both pieces. The one on the left is over the white clay, and the one on the right is with the speckled clay. These two pieces, on the left it's white clay, and on the right it's the speckled clay, and it's Randy's red, and it actually turned out not bad in this firing. So this is speckled clay on the left and white clay on the right, with Tenmuku Gold, variegated blue and oatmeal over the upper half. So it's much brighter over the white clay on the right hand side. On the left is the speckled clay, on the right is the white clay, and it's with the matte turquoise with the variegated blue and oatmeal over the upper third. Once again, much brighter on the right hand side. This is the raspberry cranberry glaze with variegated blue and oatmeal upper third, and on the left it's the speckled clay, and on the right it's the white clay. So they don't really change that much over this because there's a little bit of tin in this glaze too. This is the new yellow I've just developed with apple chlorine and oatmeal over the upper third, and on the left it's speckled clay, and on the right it's the white clay, and it's a much nicer yellow. These are the 3 yellows. On the left it's the really bad one that flakes, on the right it's the actual really lemon yellow, and the one in the middle is the 2 mixed together, and it gives you a really nice buttery yellow. So this one was a proof that you can mix 2 glazes and get a better glaze.
Okay, this is my test on the tomato red, and I've decided I can't fire this with the cone 6 pieces from now on because it looks so much better when I took it to 2250 instead of 2225, which is probably cone 7. And I actually think it probably will get even nicer if I went to cone 8, which I might do a test on that as well. But from the right hand side is when I applied it single layer, and I fired it to 2250. At cone 6 it's just brown, but you see a little bit of red in there. I double dipped it on the one on the right, and you can see because there's a little bit more running down a bit, and we got more red, but we still got some browns in there. And then in the center I actually did a 3rd dip, and it started to run big time, which was lucky because it could have stuck to the kiln shelf, but I fire on stilts. But anyway, you got so much more red. So my thinking is that this has to go to cone 8 to get some nice reds, and it needs to be on really thick, but obviously not too thick because look at all the runs in the center there. Okay, this one is Harris Tenmuku, and on the left hand side it was single dipped and fired to 2250. once again, I think it's better if you fire it higher. At cone 6, it's just brown. But in the middle, I double dipped it, and you can see it gets more brown and you lose those black highlights. And in the far right, I actually added that third dip, not all the way down. It didn't run, so it's pretty stable as a glaze, but it actually loses the black a little bit, except for where it thins at the rim and on the edges of the handle. So over carved pieces, this glaze looks really nice because it breaks to black, but it needs to be on fairly thin. I read that on the internet, and I've been always glazing quite thick. So obviously that's the opposite of what I thought. But anyway, this glaze I think will be, I'll make a bunch of pieces and just fire in my small kiln so I can make them all look like the one on the left I think I like the best. The one on the right's nice too, but the one in the middle, not much character there. This is blue, green, copper, red with the yellow on the top and the matte turquoise on the bottom, on the speckled clay on the left and on the white clay on the right. You can choose. They're both nice. And I'm pretty sure we have oatmeal dipped on the rims as well. This is purple with variegated blue and oatmeal over the rim, and matte. It's just, oatmeal over the bottom. On the left, it's actually over the white clay, and on the right-hand side, it's over the speckled clay. So you can see the purple is very different over those two clay bodies.